Hey folks! Okay, this time around I want to talk about the first official quiz. So I'm assuming that you've done the practice quiz and you've got the hang of quizzes in VIU Learn. I don't think there's going to be too much that we need to go over here. Most of this should be pretty intuitive, I hope. But the idea is it covers everything from the first 2 weeks of lectures and labs. It'll be available for 12 hours. It'll take, well, it's meant to take less than 50 minutes. So you need to start it, I guess, by 6:10 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on September 18th. Right? So that's the Friday Nanaimo time, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can take it anywhere in there. But again, it is time limited. So once you start, you'll have 50 minutes before it hits the official cutoff time. The questions are randomly ordered for each student, so you won't get your questions in the same order as other people do. And for most of the questions, there are a few different variants of each of them. And again, you will get one randomly selected variant of each question. Once you finish a question, you can't go back to it. So it's basically answer it and move on. The quiz will kind of stop and double check. Do you really want to move on now? So it's pretty difficult to accidentally skip past a question. In terms of this particular quiz, it's a mix of fairly short answer, just a sentence or sentence fragment, or some multiple choice questions, or some multiple select. We'll get into more complex answers starting with quiz 2, but all of the ones for quiz 1 are pretty basic. So there's 18 questions. The quiz as a whole is out of 42 marks. So it's kind of 1 to 4 marks for each of these fairly short questions. The questions themselves mostly cover bash and git. So it's going through the key things that we've talked about in the lectures, file permission settings, changing them with chmod, looking at them with ls-l, working with things like absolute and relative paths, SSH, the typical commands to move and rename files, create directories, remove directories, change paths within them, that kind of thing. And the basics of Git, so the kind of thing we've done with forking and cloning repositories, doing your adds and commits and pushes and git status and that kind of thing. In this particular one, we won't get much into the branching and merging side of things. We'll save that for quiz 2. But that gives you an idea of the kind of material you should probably be looking at. All right. Usual idea in terms of links. Again, you can find all of these on the course webpage. So if you need a bit more guidance with VIU Learn in general, an orientation, tech issues in general, then again, do make sure that you go through. Hopefully you've kind of browsed this sort of thing before you hit the quiz. I don't think there should be anything, if you've gone okay with the practice quiz, then there shouldn't be anything technically that's challenging with quiz 1. It's pretty much more of the same, just this one's actually for marks. So do make sure you plan for when you're going to do this and make sure you've got some kind of quiet time someplace with a decent setup so that you can take the quiz. And hopefully I'll be able to mark it and get it back to you, within a few days to a week of taking it, but we'll see how things go. All right, as usual, I'll be available as the quiz is in the scheduled lab and lecture times for that Friday. If you've got some questions to ask, feel free to jump on Discord and fire me questions or email me questions, but hopefully things should be reasonably straightforward. All right, we will leave it there.